You are most welcome back to Matchbook's Weekend Football Podcast. We're now live on Thursday afternoon on Facebook, YouTube, and the Team Matchbook Twitter channel. If you are live and watching with us, please do get in touch. Adrian Clarke and Mark O'Haire, joined by these gentlemen. A week ago we talked then, and not a lot has happened in the world of football. It's been a pretty nondescript couple of days. Mundane, you might even say, Adrian Clarke. But it was a good weekend for us last weekend. We won't talk about the unmentionable Super League, but it was a good weekend for us last weekend. A good bounce-back weekend, Adrian. Some good winners.
Definitely. Yeah, no, we had some good results, didn't we? Yeah, it was definitely more winners than losers. I was chuffed. I was really chuffed that Morecambe and Oldham turned out to be the goal fest.
7 goals.
Yeah, I'd kind of tipped it up quite heavily that this would happen. So it's always nice when it does occur. So yeah, happy days and a good price on Birmingham, of course, to win at Rotherham. So yeah, no, decent. Yeah,
and just to recap that, if you're listening to us on the podcast now, and you can see the banner on screen, Chelsea versus City under 2.5, beautiful bet. 1.86, lovely price. Went off shorter than that as well, I'm pretty sure. Leicester, 1.97. Well done, guys. You got Leicester right. That was about third time this year. Well done. Newcastle, West Ham, BTTS. Probably a bit dodgy there when West Ham went down to 10 men, but we got there in the end. Birmingham City, as before mentioned, as Adrian said, at 2.7. Terrific price there as well. Morecambe Oldham, 7-goal thriller. Leeds versus Liverpool to wrap things up on Monday night under 3.25. And Mark O'Haire, a good bounce-back weekend.
Yeah, it was. In the Premier League, not so much for me in Europe. But there we go. But I'm always keen to find a bit of balance here. So yeah, I didn't do so well. Adrian did very well in the EFL, but Premier League, I think we nailed it pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much nailed it. It was a team effort on that one. What we're going to do today, we're going to cover the Carabao Cup final on Sunday. We're then going to do West Ham, Chelsea, Leeds United versus Manchester United, and Liverpool versus Newcastle United, the main slate. We will then do EFL bets, European bets, and best bets as ever. And Mark O'Haire, I'm going to start with you with the Carabao Cup final. I'm not totally sure that you're very happy that I'm starting with you on this one, but current betting, you can back City here at just over 1.55, Tottenham Hotspur 6.1. The draw available at 4.6. Tottenham getting a goal start on the Asian handicap at matchbook.com, just over 1.95. And the total for a cup final, not surprisingly, is a middling enough one at 2.5, slightly shaded towards the over in that one. And Mark O'Haire, all that has happened the last couple of days, it's kind of slipped under the radar slightly that Jose has gone from North London. Are we expecting any bit of a new manager bounce here for Tottenham? I mean, Harry Kane, major doubt, touch and go probably up to kick off. Any hope for the Spurs here in this one?
There is hope. There's always hope. Whether they'll have a better chance with or without Jose Mourinho, it's hard to say. I'd probably say they'd have a better chance with Jose Mourinho, just because he's a tried and trusted, very experienced manager. He's had the better of Man City a few times with Spurs and also has the cup final experience too. But Harry Kane, his influence, his availability will clearly be the most important aspect from a Spurs perspective. And we've seen that with the pre-match pricing already, kind of jumping around a little bit. But, rewind 7 days. We talked about Man City as 1.8 favourites going into a Wembley game against Chelsea. We said they looked a little bit short in that game. They actually went off around 1.9 before kickoff, and that's because they made 8 changes and had a second-choice goalkeeper playing. So we didn't know that at the time. We don't know how they're going to line up this weekend. I do presume that Zach Stefan will start in goal again, and I do presume Kevin De Bruyne might miss out as well. But Stefan's not a bad goalkeeper despite the error. He's performed pretty well in the Bundesliga previously, so I don't think that's a huge downgrade as the price might suggest. But even so, just looking at those raw prices, City bouncing around 155 to 160 compared to 180 against Chelsea, there's a difference there. But I believe it probably should be a little bit bigger. I still rate City quite significantly higher than Spurs, and I think Chelsea are above that bracket as well. So the overall sort of reaction to that defeat to Chelsea was pretty grim. I thought the reality was it was a very tight game. It could have gone either way. City could easily have pinched it, and suddenly the narrative is totally different. But at the end of the day, this is a cup final. Pep Guardiola is absolutely obsessed with silverware and trophies. Doesn't care who he's playing. It's all about winning, really. So from a City perspective, I do expect them to win, but am I going to back them at 155? Probably not, because it's not an attractive price, is it? Don't want to back them to overcome a big handicap hurdle. Not really. It's a cup final. And there's just too many kind of question marks really about Spurs. Probably will be a bit more unified than they were under Mourinho. But in terms of approach, we saw something a little bit different in the game against Southampton. First half, they were absolutely appalling, in fairness. Should have been long beaten, but came back into it. Saints might have been fatigued from the FA Cup, who knows really. But I like the idea of playing those attacking players and giving them a bit more freedom, playing with a bit more adventure, but I'm not sure that's the right way to go about things against Man City, particularly in a cup final. So, yeah, Kane is the big one for me. We need to know whether he's playing or not before pulling the trigger. He has scored, he scored 20. He's had 25 direct goal involvements, scored or assisted in 30 league games this season. And in terms of expected goals and expected assists, he's averaging 0.81 combined per game this season in the Premier League, which is almost Lionel Messi numbers, really, in a Tottenham team that has underperformed and a Tottenham team who've been pretty defensive all season too. Their terms of wins and actually scoring goals clearly will be down since the start of last season without him. So that will tip the balance in City's favour. Look, City, despite having a few wobbles, we've talked about the potential to oppose them in recent weeks, which I think has rang true a little bit. Even the start against Villa showed they have got vulnerabilities and frailties, and John Stones will be suspended now as well. They have won 29 of the last 32 games. So it's very hard to sort of find a way to really oppose them. So for me, it's keep City on side, oppose a high-scoring game. Cup finals are rarely the kind of end-to-end basketball matches. City to win on under 3.5 goals. It's landed in 10 of their past 15. Only one of those games that saw 4 or more goals. And overall, it's landed in 15 of their 24 Premier League wins, as well as 13 of their 19 in all their combined cup games this season too. So I think that's probably the fairest bet to have, considering the price. It is 2.2. I'd much rather that than backing City to win with a -1 Asian handicap at 1.87.
And Adrian, what do you say in this one? I mean, for Ryan Mason, his first game obviously against Southampton on Wednesday night, but a fair old baptism of fire going into a cup final against the great Pep Guardiola. But what of Kane's absence here? And I mean, you hear a lot of people saying, well, De Bruyne is out for City, but Kane, just in terms of what the depth is there at City, Kane is a much bigger loss to Tottenham, surely.
100%, yeah. We saw, but Bernardo Silva can slot in to midfield in place of De Bruyne. 2 assists last night against Aston Villa. It's not really an issue. Certainly not in the same scale as if Spurs without Kane. For me, Kane's been the footballer of the year. I think, given his output, I just can't look beyond him. I really can't. I think he has been absolutely phenomenal. And if he is fit, and I think the indications are that he will be, Ryan Mason is certainly not writing him off. He's going to give him every chance. Then I think they've got a chance of pushing City close. I think Mark's right. City are worthy favourites. Don't expect a really high-scoring game. So that is a really good bet. But one flip side might be Spurs on the handicap. I could absolutely, given how flat City were against Chelsea, and I know Chelsea are better than Tottenham, but they were flat. Then you could see this being a relatively close game. Even the draw, 4.6 after 90 minutes, is quite an attractive price. A lot of cup finals go to draws. It's been a long, long time since City had a draw, by the way, December the 15th. So which is amazing, really. They win almost every game, but they have lost 3, I think, in the interim. So yeah, that's my alternative pick. But I think it does depend on Kane. If Kane's fit, I quite like Spurs on Spurs plus a goal. I really do, and I might have a small play on the draw. But ultimately, I do think City are the better side. The reason I'm slightly edgy about City is longer balls over the top. We saw Villa do it, scored 20 seconds, caught them on the hop. We saw Chelsea cause them a lot of problems with longer passes. Leeds did it. I think a lot of managers are seeing a weakness here in Stones. Obviously, if he's not available, but you've got Diaz, Laporte. I think there is a vulnerability there. And who's very good when it comes to running onto longer balls? It's Son. And I think that will form a part of Tottenham's game plan. And as well, Gareth Bale back in the side under Ryan Mason. For me, that's a factor because Gareth Bale has big game match-winning quality. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Gareth Bale just sticks one in the top corner. He's good enough. Jose probably wouldn't have played him. Ryan Mason will. So yeah, Tottenham plus a goal for me. But I do like Mark's bet. I think it's probably a safer one, and you get a better price too.
I don't know about what the story is over there, but the golf courses are reopening here on Monday. So if the golf courses have reopened there the last couple of weeks, mate, I don't know how much you're going to get out of the bail. Very quickly before we come off this, Mark, any worry that City may be looking ahead to obviously a big tie in the Champions League midweek?
No, not really.
No.
It's a cup final, isn't it? And Guardiola's very good, isn't he? At winning cup finals. Not so good at semis. We've seen him lose a few of those, but when the silverware's there winking at him,
fair.
He doesn't often.
Just on the De Bruyne issue as well. Phil Foden is playing absolutely mesmeric football right now. I'd arguably say he's been better than De Bruyne in 2021 himself. So, if he's available and fit and playing well, De Bruyne is secondary at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just what we're going to do here, folks. So Mark's bet is City to win and under 3.5 goals, which is 2.2. You will be able to bet that at Matchbook. I would suggest that early Sunday. It's a pretty new market on site. Adrian is a bit of a wait and see on Kane for +1. You can back there at Tottenham 1.95. So let's not put in an official bet there. But look, there's good arguments there either ways, and I do think that the 2.2 there that Mark mentioned is not a bad price. Let's move on. Game of the weekend for me, gentlemen. Adrian, I'll start with you first on this one. West Ham and Chelsea. West Ham, you can currently back at 4.6. Chelsea at 1.9. The draw available at 3.78. West Ham getting a half goal start on the Asian handicap, but good odds against there, 2.07. And 2.5 is the total shaded towards the under. And Adrian, we were suggesting last week that West Ham with these injuries that it is probably just going to catch up on them somewhere. We saw signs of that in the first half, but then you saw the kind of the resolve in that team in the second half to nearly put it out of the fire, and unlucky probably not to escape at a point in the end. But what are you making here? Because Chelsea as well, I mean, they're a bit of a machine right now.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice of phrase, really, with Chelsea. Absolute machine, such impressive control. I thought against Manchester City, limiting their chances to next to nothing, really. I was very, very impressed by them. Obviously, less so against Brighton. On West Ham, it's been an incredible run of games, hasn't it? You had the 3-0 with Arsenal, and then we've had 3-2ers in a row, and I just think that the natural order of things is that it comes back in this weekend. I don't think Chelsea is the kind of game where we're going to see another 3-2, and West Ham will know that if they concede twice against Chelsea, there's no way they're coming back. There's no way they're winning the game. So I'm expecting West Ham, who are depleted. Dawson's out suspended, isn't he? They don't have a natural left wing back either. We know that Rice is out. I think they will regroup and become a little bit more trademark Moyes in terms of let's defend properly in this game and still spring into life on the counter with Lingard and Bowen, but play it a bit more cagily. This is a huge game, absolutely huge for both clubs, isn't it? So I sense that we might see a slightly more cautious approach. We know that Chelsea won't go gung ho. So that's how I see it. I mean, under 2.5 is 1.833. I would rather back Chelsea, I have to say, on the nose than go unders. I really fancy Chelsea. They've just beaten Manchester City at Wembley. Could have won that game by more. I know it could have gone either way, but I think they were worthy winners. They're barely conceding a goal in any of the biggies, and he will class this as a biggie, Thomas Tuchel. For me, Chelsea are the better team, are the stronger from back to front. And I think they'll win a relatively low-scoring game. So Chelsea, for me, on the nose, I think that's 1.9.
1.9, yeah.
Yeah. Not a huge price, given West Ham's form, but I'll be taking it on.
Big enough price. No problem back in 1.9. Mark O'Haire, the bet you gave in the last game, Man City to win under 3.5 goals. If you're backing that in Tuchel's 20 games since he took over, it's you're coinciding a lot of these 15 clean sheets in 20 games, and it's. Are you with Adrian? This hard to see past Chelsea, sure.
Agree with everything Adrian said, and agree with what you said as well. And that's what the angle is: Chelsea to win under 3.5 goals at 2.44. Big price.
Just to boost the price, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great price, I think. Just on West Ham, I feel sorry for them because injuries have come at the wrong time, really, and they're kind of losing a lot of momentum, and they're not going to be at their full strength team this weekend at all. They did rally a bit in that second half against Newcastle, but really sort of sloppy errors to give away the the first couple of goals. But that's 10 goals conceded in the last 4 games. Not ideal. But actually, I dug a little bit deeper at the numbers. 1.6 XG on average conceded over the last 6 games. If you go back to the last 10 games, they've faced a minimum of 15 shots in 8 of those 10, which is really not ideal for a Champions League chasing team.
On that, Mark, I forgot to add that stat in. I got it right in front of me. So glad you brought it up. In the first 22 matches of the season, up until the last 10, how many times did they face 15 shots or more? So 8 of the last 10. How many of the last 22? How many of the previous 22? 3.
Wow.
3. It's quite a difference. They've become incredibly more open. Yeah, the facts speak for themselves.
It's really alarming if you concede that many shots. You're gonna have to work really hard to get some results, and I think they did have the rub of the green. And sure, game state has worked against them in terms of those that bit of data as well, some of those matches. But even so, I've mentioned a few times their record against teams outside of the Big Six and outside of the top 6. Well, they're playing one of those big boys now. 6 defeats in 9 against the top 6 this season. Both of their 2 wins came against Leicester, and against teams in the Big Six, 7 defeats from 11, conceding 24 goals. So, I ran through the numbers in my model to see what the price, the XG, suggests Chelsea should be, and they came in at 1.88. They're 1.9 now, but what that doesn't take into account is Chelsea have improved significantly since Thomas Tuchel took charge. So I think Chelsea closer to sort of 1.7 if we take into account results and performances since January. His team are top of the league since he arrived, or joint top, 2 points per game on average over the last 12 games. I think he's taken charge of 13 Premier League games. Exclude that, Wolves 0, Chelsea 0 in his first game. They're actually top for XG ratio. They've also turned over Atletico Madrid, Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, held United as well. So they're not going to be fearful of West Ham at all. 15 clean sheets and 20. I expect them to get the job done relatively unfussy. They're going to dominate the ball, dominate control, dominate the tempo. I think this is a difficult game for West Ham considering the circumstances. So, happy to oppose them. 1.9 on Chelsea is fine, but I'm going to add in under 3.5 goals for a really nice price.
Yeah, Adrian, the agreement there, it does boost it up a bit.
Happy to do it. Like I said, under 2.5, I'd be slightly nervous, but under 3.5,
extra bit of a cushion,
exactly. Happy with that.
Like that, the Tuchel Express rolls on. Mark, come to you first here for this one. First Battle of the Roses for quite a long time. I would say just 2003, something like that. Leeds United play host to Manchester United on Sunday. 4.05. You can back Leeds, who good form of late. Manchester United just under 1.87. The draw 4.15. Leeds getting a half a goal start on the Asian handicap at odds against. 3 is the total. Mark O'Haire, we know about Manchester United's superb away record because we address it each time we cover them when they're playing away from home. They still haven't lost since February 2020. And we're under 20 minutes into the show, right? And I didn't want to talk about the Super League, and I don't want to get too narrative here for a second. I know United have had the week off, but you've heard different stories coming out of that camp of players approaching the chief executive and all this, and fans at their training ground today as we record at Carrington. There's got to be a bit of mental fatigue here somewhere, surely, with this Manchester United team right now.
Maybe. I think Adrian's probably better equipped to answer that question than I would be. But
okay.
I don't know. Tom, I don't know. I think players are quite good at just pressing the button, sort of flicking that switch, getting into game mode. I know what you're saying, Sully.
Yeah,
I really do. It's been a distraction. But I think long enough has passed now, and
like if it was a midweek game, like you saw with Chelsea, they obviously started. They were a bit sluggish against Brighton. That was still going on at the time.
Do you know what? That's for me. That was nonsense. What Thomas Tuchel said. The reason why Chelsea were laboured and didn't really perform to the best of their ability, they played an FA Cup semi-final a few days earlier. It took a lot out of them. Yeah. It's just an easy excuse to make. And you heard Patrick Bamford talk on Monday night after the Leeds game, and he said, "Look, it was a bit of a distraction pre-match, but once you're on the field, you're not thinking about the European Super League. You're thinking about, I want the ball, I want to score goals." So, I don't think it's going to have a big bearing on this game. I do think United are reasonably appealing at the prices. I think if you look at the market, you can get around 1.91 on United to win. Chelsea, we talked about when they were 1.8 at Ellen Road. Liverpool, 1.72. United have a free midweek for, I think, the first time in many months, excluding the international break. and you want to be fresh going into an away game at Leeds, and United are really. So purely off XG, United should be 1.7. Leeds have evolved in 2021. It has to be said, they're not all guns blazing, the same team that we saw in the reverse game. They are a bit more assured, a bit more secure defensively. But Liam Cooper, I think, is still suspended. I might be mistaken there, but I'm pretty sure he's still suspended. And that's a big blow. So I think it's kind of gone unnoticed, but Leeds have only conceded multiple goals in 3 of the last 15 since going back to sort of FA Cup third round weekend. Their XG conceded is down significantly in that time, 175 to 135 per game as well. I thought they impressed against Liverpool for sure, and against Chelsea they did too. But this is a price play, really, and I think United, 1 Premier League defeat since the 1st of November, 0 Premier League defeats away, 5 wins on the spin, 4 wins in 8 unbeaten against the top half. Pretty much a full-strength squad available to them. 13 points better off just this calendar year alone against Leeds. So, I'm not overly kind of keen on the sort of 1.91, 1.87, anywhere in that bracket. But I think United will win the game. I don't think it will be quite as tight as probably Leeds' recent matches have been either. So if you are kind of umming and ahhing over that price, United to win and both teams to score is 3.3, and that really kind of stood out to me as a price. 14 of United's 19 league wins came alongside both teams scoring. 8 of their 10 away from home have seen both teams scoring, and 12 of Leeds' 14 defeats against the top 12. Well, they've actually scored in 7 of those as well. So they lost in 12 from 14 against the top 12. And actually, I've got that stat completely wrong. So ignore me on that. But basically, they've been scoring goals against the top teams.
It's wonderful, mate, because you never get these wrong, ever. I know you don't.
Yeah, I don't know what my notes are saying. Ignore me on that.
Adrian, what are you thinking, man? 1.87 is United's price. Mark makes the case that possibly is maybe a bit too short there, but I don't know. I think there's probably still a bit of juice in that price. No,
I'm all right with it.
I think there is. There is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think I'd rather back United on their own. Obviously, 3.3 is great. The reason I'd be slightly opposed to Mark's thinking there is that United have only conceded 4 in their last 8. They're defending really well. It's kind of gone under the radar, really, but they're defending almost as well as Chelsea. Not really letting in too many. Obviously, conceded against Spurs, but they're pretty solid side at the moment. And away from home, they're just in a great rhythm, aren't they? A great sort of they just get into that away mode, and it's like they're a bit more ruthless, a bit more clinical, professional. Greenwood is on fire. He's lightly played, isn't he, this season? He's only on the pitch for around half of United's season, so he's nice and fresh. The same can be said for Edison Cavani. So even though Fernandes is a little bit off colour, you've still got those 2 plus Rashford to come and hurt Leeds, and you got to cast your mind back. So that's 6-2. Leeds, obviously, we know about their man-to-man marking setup. It can come unstuck. And it often comes unstuck against the best teams, because the best teams are comfortable on the ball and they can handle being pressed. And the best teams have great movement. So you combine the 2, you can play around Leeds better than the so-called weaker teams. And I think that's partly why Leeds haven't beaten anyone in the top half at Ellen Road this season. They've just not had the same effect on opponents. And for me, United destroyed Leeds' man-to-man setup at Old Trafford. I remember McTominay running off his man a couple of times to score. There were other goals as well that you could look at in the similar vein. So, and we saw that Liverpool scored the goal against Leeds. Definitely, it was down to man-to-man the mark, and a slight little breakdown there from Leeds. So for me, United have got too much quality not to make Leeds pay, because you know that Leeds will continue with that policy. So yeah, I'm quite confident on a Man U win here. So yeah, I mean the alternative that I had was Man U minus 3/4 a goal, which took it, I think, to 2.07. But just Man U on the nose, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna make the executive decision here. 1.87. I like it. Yeah, it's one I'm gonna be backing anyway. Okay, last game that we're covering on the main slate here, folks. We're doing. So early Saturday kickoff, Liverpool against Newcastle United. Adrian, back to you for this first, but let's take a look. The betting, wow, they're short. Liverpool 1.27, 13.0, you come back. Newcastle have not won at Anfield since 1994. I was actually young then. 6.4 is a draw. Newcastle getting a goal and a half start. Good odds against 2.12. 3 is the total. Adrian Clarke, Newcastle have been in good form of late.
Yeah.
Big doubt over St. Maximin, Alan St. Maximin, which is a big blow for them as well. Is this potentially a kind of a bridge too far? Because they've obviously done one the last couple of weeks. We're kind of considering them almost there towards safety now. But is this one that might be just a bit out of their reach? Yeah,
I don't think they'll win the game. It's a good point about St. Maximin. I think if he's fit, the Newcastle plus 1.5 goals begins to appeal because they've got so much of a goal threat when he plays. When Wilson plays, they double their goal output. They more than double their goal output. And you think if Newcastle were to get one, then Liverpool have got to produce multiple goals, haven't they? So that would appeal if he's on the team sheet. So keep your eye on that one. I fancy goals in this game. I have to say. It could be an absolute nonsense, but in recent weeks, the early kickoffs on Saturday have produced a lot of goals. 5, 3, 7 across the last three match weeks, and I think the way that Newcastle have been defending of late, it's not good. And I think that Liverpool, with absolutely nothing to lose here, they're chasing down fourth, aren't they?
Yep.
I think Jurgen Klopp would be crazy not to pick all 4, go with Mane, Salah, Firmino, and Jota, and just go for it against Newcastle and really put on a bit of a show. And because if St. Maximin and Wilson play, I think they'll give it a go to some degree, Newcastle United, and it could just make for a really, really exciting game. So yeah, I think Liverpool will win, but you obviously can't back them at that price, can you? Newcastle, I've noticed 9 of their 16 games against top half teams have featured at least 3 goals. So the majority, only just, but the majority have gone 3 or more, which I would suggest is quite unusual. So yeah, for me, over 3 goals, just over 1.9, I think is what I would do here. But you could go over 2 3/4. It depends on what you fancied.
Yeah, over 3 is currently available at just 1.93. Mark, what are you thinking with this one? An agreement that there's a potential goals angle at Anfield on Saturday?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah. I think if this game was played last week, I'd be looking to really get a pro Newcastle angle on side. Just the fact that they are now kind of, wouldn't say completely safe, but not far off guaranteeing survival. It might just relax them a little bit. I don't really know on that. It's hard to really tell, but I certainly have enjoyed the more attack-minded approach, and I think most neutrals have done too. Particularly from a punting perspective too, it's been much more refreshing to see them kind of come out and play. And clearly, you want St. Maximin to be fit and available. Wilson is fit and available. I don't think we'll hear about St. Maximin until Friday, probably. Press conference really hit a bad swollen ankle, so we'll see if that's recovered in time. But yeah, it was a goals approach I was looking at. But I thought both teams to score 2.25 was a big price, a really big price considering Newcastle have scored in 10 of their last 13. They scored in 5 of 8 against the top half. And Liverpool's clean sheet record this season, remarkably poor actually. I was quite surprised at how poor it was. Just 3 home clean sheets all season. They have just 3 home clean sheets all season. They've conceded at home to all the bottom 5, and they've kept 2 clean sheets in 10 home or away against the bottom 7 so far this season. 3 clean sheets in the last 14 Premier League games as well. We've talked about Newcastle's more attack-minded approach. They've generated over 1.6 XG on average in their last 7 games now. So really, really impressive from them. If you think back to the reverse game, Liverpool were reasonably dominant. It ended 0-0. They should have won, could have won. But Newcastle had chances on the break. I expect they'll create a few again this time around. Liverpool should win, could win. But I think both teams to score at 2.25 is a big price.
What do you make of that one, Adrian? It's very similar angle.
Yeah, definitely. It's a better price. It keeps the interest. You've probably have got more chance of it landing. I would suggest than over 3, which is because you never quite know. You get if it's 1-0 going into the last last 10 minutes or so, you're a little bit fed up, aren't you? But it's 1-0. You got both teams to score.
Yeah,
you got that interest, and I just have a little sort of tipple here and there for fun. Really, I'm not serious when I come around to my betting. So yeah, both teams to score is actually something that I might choose to do myself here. I just definitely feel there are goals in it. Newcastle's lack of a proper defensive midfielder is going to hurt them in games like this. Yeah, if Firmino, Jota, Mane, Salah, getting on the ball in between the lines, I think they can run amok. I really do. I think Liverpool created a lot of half chances against Leeds. There was a lot of blocks and things didn't kind of fall their way. But I thought that there was a bit of energy about the way that they were going forward, particularly in the first half. So look, if they can get back to that, and why shouldn't they? I think they can score 3 or 4 goals here, Liverpool.
You're going to be sick if Liverpool win 4-0, though. That's the only thing I would say to that. Maybe do a correct score one as a saver or something. But yeah, look, I like it too. BTTS and Liverpool Newcastle 2.25. Let's do a quick recap before we get into the latter stages of EFL European and weekend best bets. What have we got so far? We've got Chelsea to beat West Ham and under 3.5 goals at 2.44. Man United at 1.87. Liverpool, Newcastle, BTTS at 2.25 even. And don't forget, obviously, the guys have differing views on the Carabao Cup final, but you can find out that if you scroll back. Also gives me time and opportunity to tell folks, if you haven't heard about our new sign-up offer, it's pretty similar to the old one, but it's 0% commission on all sports, not just football, all sports across the board at matchbook.com for your first 30 days of your account. You're probably looking at some of these prices, then jumping on sports books and seeing that they're a bit bigger, a bit shorter there, which they generally would be compared to the exchange. But no, you don't have to pay 0% commission. You normally would have been on 2%, but that's all gone for the first 30 days of your account. All right, gents. Mark, you're jumping on an EFL bandwagon this week. You're just kind of going in ahead of Adrian. But what's your opportunities here in the lower leagues? It's like we're at the business end of things, big time in the Championship and League One, etc.
Yeah, business time, big game in South Yorkshire this weekend. Barnsley taking on Rotherham. I've got in my notes this price will not be 1.8 by kickoff. I can see already it's trending downwards. Barnsley to beat Rotherham at 1.8 stands out to me. What Valérien Ismaël has achieved at Oakwell is quite remarkable, really. They're a joy for neutrals to watch. Of course, the upturn in fortunes has been longer than he's been at the club, but even still, the results, in terms of just raw results, they're ranked 3rd in the Championship since he's arrived. 22 league wins from 36, over 1.91 points per game. Only Watford have earned a point more. Norwich, the only team to have done better than Barnsley in that sequence. Season-long trends as well, really impressive. 10 wins from 17 home games, 14 from 22 against the bottom half, 9 from 11 against the bottom 6. All seriously strong. Put them in a good position here against a Rotherham team who have just endured such a really rough schedule. This will be their 6th game in a fortnight. Unfortunately for Paul Warren, they've fallen short in a few 6-pointers. Only Derby's kind of desperate efforts have kept them in of a shout, really. And they struggle against the big teams. 11 defeats from 12 winless games against the top 7, of which Barnsley are. They've lost all 7 away at the top half. They've returned 6 wins, 6 draws, and 23 defeats against teams outside of the bottom 3. That's 23 defeats and 35, and they've failed to score in 5 of their last 7. They're bound to be feeling fatigue. Normally one of their assets is their fitness and energy. Well, Barnsley are just as fit, just as energetic as Rotherham, and they haven't had to play 6 games in a fortnight either. So I think Freddie Ladapo is now an injury doubt as well, and Matt Crooks got sent off in midweek. I know they're appealing that. He might be available, but you're effectively losing 2 of your most key forward-thinking players there as well. So, yeah, it's all kind of set in Barnsley's favour here. I know they have reasonably assured themselves of a playoff place, but they'll still be keen to get 3 points in a South Yorkshire derby just to cement their place in the top 6.
Mark, in terms of price here, so you said that your notes earlier was 1.8. Just for a bit of context and a bit of clarity, it's about 1.75 at Matchbook at the moment, but there is a bit of margin, so I'm going to call this about 1.77. What do you bet it down as far as before it becomes a no play at the price?
It's Championship, so my base price will be 173. You never know what's going to happen, but there's combinations you can do to boost that price up again if you want, total goal.
I'm at the game. I'll be there.
Oh, yeah.
So So I've been sent there by TalkSport. So looking forward to it. I agree. It's on my shortlist. It's not one of my picks for this or the insights, but it was on my shortlist to include. So I fancy them strongly here.
Speaking of insights, yeah, you're 67% on the season. That's incredible stuff through 42 selections. Well, you've backed Barnes in the last couple of weeks, but where else are you looking this weekend, Adrian Clarke?
What, for me, for EFL?
Yeah.
I am looking into League One, actually. Oxford against Plymouth has just screams goals to me. Oxford, for those of you that don't know much about Oxford, Carl Robinson, the last few weeks, it's just basically gone with 6 forwards in midfield and in attack. He hasn't, but they're all attack-minded players. And it's hurt them at times. They've let in goals, but they've scored a lot of goals as well. He kind of just gone for it. And it's partly because the defensive players are injured as well. And it's working. Their last 7 games have all gone over 2.5 Oxford. 5 of the last 6 games at the Kassam have gone over 2.5 as well. And they don't keep many clean sheets, 1 in 9. They're up against the Plymouth team that can't defend. They lost 6-0 against Charlton in midweek, which is just horrendous. And they've gone 7 away games without a clean sheet, Plymouth Argyle. But they do have goal scorers in their team, so they might contribute to the game. But yeah, over 2.5, Oxford Plymouth. I think last time I looked, 1.84 on Matchbook. That's number 1.
Okay. Yep.
Number 2 is Charlton Peterborough, really big game at the Valley. I'm going to oppose the posh here slightly, not completely, but Charlton basically on a good run under Nigel Atkins, who I really like, by the way. I know he's a little bit cheesy, but I just think he's a top fella, and he's getting a tune out of Charlton. Unbeaten in 10. Home form is miles better since he took charge. They beat Plymouth 6-0 in the week. So they're going well. But Peterborough are patchy at the moment. They've got Sunderland, who are starting to breathe down their necks a little bit. But you look at Peterborough's record against the better teams, and it's really sketchy on the road. They beat Hull 2-1 in a rotten game, but they failed to beat, on the road, Sunderland, Blackpool, Lincoln, Oxford and Portsmouth. Their overall record as well against the top 6, Peterborough, is 1-2, drawn 2, lost 4. And of course, they're in second place at the moment. So against the elite in the division, not so good, Peterborough. And I think Charlton can cause them problems. I'm going to play it safe and go with Charlton 0.0. So effectively draw no bet, 1.98 at home to Peterborough. So yeah, that's my selection there.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go draw no bet with Birmingham last week. But yeah, you pulled it out of the bag. But I like the angle there, and it's a good price of 1.98. Mark O'Haire, you've already got 2 European bets published at insights.matchbook.com. You've been in great, outside of last weekend, you've been in great form there. But you want to give people a sneak peek at one of those selections, and that is in La Liga.
Yeah, disappointed Adrian didn't start talking about routines, attitudes and behaviours when he mentioned Nigel Atkins there. Yeah. But I'll let him off.
It's just not in my nature to do that kind of business speak. But
Blue sky,
yeah, I mean, look, the market's already all over Sevilla for Sunday's game in La Liga against Granada, regional rivals. 18 wins from 26 in the league. They're still in the title conversation, believe it or not, but 11 wins from 15 at home, 19 wins from 26. If you exclude the top 3, 10 wins from 13 at home, and you exclude that top 3 bracket as well. Just one of the most consistent teams to follow, particularly at the Ramon Sanchez Piguain, where they've conceded only 9 goals all season. So you want to get them on side in some way, if you can. I think we can at a nice price, 2.15 on Sevilla to win and under 3.5 goals. Much more appealing to me than back in the Asian handicap, because the Sevilla team just are consistent in kind of just doing enough, really. If you back them to win by exactly 1 goal or exactly 2 goals, you'd be in a decent position. Rarely do they cover by 3 or more. If you look at their just goals record this season, only 2 of 15 at home have gone over 3.5. Only 4 of 15 have gone over 2.5 as well. They are consistent. They're playing a Granada team who have enjoyed quite a historic campaign, actually, particularly in the Europa League, but their race is pretty much run. They're in mid-table obscurity. They are a danger still, but away from home, quite alarming, actually, some of their results and also their data. 9 defeats in 15, 7 defeats and no wins in 10 when you exclude the bottom 6. But just digging deeper, they're 3rd worst in terms of XG ratio away from home, and they're also in the bottom 6 for shots on target, shots in the box, and concede the most big chances in La Liga away from home too. So Sevilla are quite conservative. They tend to get the job done. They've won and seen home the 3.5 goals in 16 of their 20 wins. We're getting odds against this weekend, which I think does appeal. Oh, and I should say Granada have 24 hours less rest. They play on Thursday night. Sevilla played Wednesday.
Yeah, Sevilla almost just remind me of Chelsea of the South. That's kind of the way they're looking at it.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Weekend best bets.
Not having that one. Not having that one, no.
Fair enough,
Beautiful place. Lovely football city, not Chelsea.
I wasn't comparing it to that. I was just giving it similar styles and just grinding teams out and backing them 1-0 or 2-0 wins. Adrian Clarke, your best bet of the weekend now. What are you thinking?
I am going to take it as one of my two on the insights. It worked for me last weekend, so I'm going to go for it again. You'll like this one, Mark. The Super Hoops, QPR, host Norwich, over 2.5 goals. It just screams fun. It screams end of season. Let's have a nice game of football here. You attack, we attack. I mean, Norwich are going for the title, so and they're a little bit stung by the recent home defeats. You know, there's context there, particularly with the Bournemouth game where they went down to 10 men. But Norwich home and away, they go for it. They play a lovely brand of attack-minded football. And they'll look to put on a show for their fans and to effectively secure the title. But QPR, they are enjoying themselves big time at the moment. You see the smile on Mark's face. They've been brilliant form, aren't they? I think they've 7 wins in the last 11. A lot of the games have gone, 3 or more goals. I think the last 3 home games have all been very, very exciting matches. And they're up to 8th, dizzy heights of 8th QPR. And I just think, they're not going to change. They're just going to continue playing with a bit of fun in this game. So yeah, I see goals. So that's what I'm going to go with. Queen's Park Rangers against Norwich over 2.5. It's about 1.77, 1.78 at the moment.
1.77 currently. Mark, as a QPR fan, you have full validation of that selection from Adrian?
Yeah, I think the word he used there was fun, and that's what it's been so far. Playing with smiles on their faces. The January signings have made a big impact, not just their experience, but just the organisation of the team. And defensively, we're always going to be a threat under Mark Warburton going forward, but defensively, some of the combinations he's had to field at the moment haven't been that great, to be honest. But Rob Dickey's playing very, very well. And we just seem to be getting results. Remarkable, really, because I think we've been 17th 3 seasons in a row, so it's kind of nice to be anywhere above the bottom half. Yeah,
Dickey and the keeper Dieng, very good, but the rest of them defensively, I'm not that sure.
Wallace has been playing very well, but apart from that, I mean, he was dreadful the first time.
It's certain matches at this time of the year you just look at and think they're just going to have a bit of fun with this. So I certainly hope that'll be the case.
Okay, over 2.5 there in QPR Norwich. Mark, your best bet of the weekend, man.
Yeah, I was kind of torn between Sevilla to win another 3.5 goals. I will take that because I was going to suggest Chelsea in the same selection against West Ham, but I'm stronger on Sevilla. It might be a smaller price, but as I say, Granada have got a little left to play for.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to look at that 2.15.
By the way, Sully, I was happy to go with Mark's selection on the Carabao Cup final. If you want to include it in ours, City to it now.
I think if anyone was listening to the pod earlier and they just maybe tuned out at this stage, I don't want to do that. But yeah, I know I'm going to bet it, but I just for the interest of record keeping, week on week record keeping, we just leave that one pass. Yeah, absolutely. We are off next week, guys. That's because I am off, and I just basically won't leave the keys to the car to the guys. I just don't really trust that much with it. Of course I would, but I want to give the guys a week off as well as we head into a very busy couple of months. We're going to be doing a lot more EFL content as well once we get to the playoffs. The tail end of the Premier League, Champions League spots up for grabs, and of course the Euros not too far away. We'll be doing a full anti-post preview, and I think about 8 or 9 previews as well during the tournament, guys. So a lot of fun. So we're going to have next week off just to kind of refresh, recharge, and go from there. My thanks to Adrian, my thanks to Mark. Been a lot of fun as ever. Hopefully we'll get you a few more winners just like last weekend. But until 2 weeks time, Thursday 2 weeks time, best of luck with your bets, and we will chat to you then. Take care.